And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Bandits here at RBLR Sports. My name is Eureka Wheeler, and with me to talk about our Tampa Bay Bandits and another losing effort with me is, of course, the undefeated Zach Blaine. What's good?
What is going on, Mr. Eureka? How you doing down there in Florida today, man?
I'm doing all right. We're a little wet. We've been getting some rain and some thunder and whatever, but again, we're doing okay. Look, like I said, undefeated is look. We can lose, but we're never defeated over here, buddy.
Boom. I love to hear it. That is a great way to live life.
Well, let's just get right into it. Somehow Tampa Bay's offense had the chance again. Stop me if you've heard this again, but late in the game, with just minutes left on the clock, we had the chance to tie this game, mostly because of our defense keeping us in the game, mostly in the second half.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the Bandits did lose what I think should have been even more of a blowout than the final score. New Jersey wins 20-13. I actually was close. I had a 24-16 loss going into this, so it's just about where I thought it was going to be. But Zach, you had a big loss that you had expected to come out of this. So
yeah,
we actually did better than you expected, huh?
Well, truthfully, no. If I'm being completely honest with you, man, the score doesn't show it, but we should have lost probably by more than what my prediction was, in all honesty.
Yeah, a defensive effort again was we keep saying bend but don't break, or whatever term you want to use for the fact that we didn't get blown out, but the New Jersey, I mean, they showed why they're the second best team in the league right now. They did their jobs, and we'll get into maybe a little bit more on what I think they did to themselves. But let's start with that defense. I think that's the good starting point. What did you see out of this defense? And ultimately, I guess we'll get into. I don't even know where to start with this, guys. Like it's we've said this over and over and over. The defense is our rock.
Yeah.
And I mean, we keep losing, but I don't think it's completely the defense's fault. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the defense is it's becoming more and more confusing every week. It's like we go in and our first half is never good. Like, well, okay, let me rephrase that. Not never. The first few weeks we were really good. The whole game, but the last probably 3 weeks, our defense has not been great in the first half, and then they come out in the second half and they seem to be able to hold them to no more than a couple of field goals in the second half. I don't know what it is, but I know that when I was watching the game this week, or last week technically, it was. Like when we started off in the first half, we were playing way aggressive. We were sending blitzes every chance we got, which was leaving the middle of the field open more times than not. We weren't wrapping up when we were tackling. It seemed like more and more arm tackles every time we would see a play, and it felt like that's not how we're going to be able to do it. And then they come out in the third quarter, and all that changes. Like. We hold them to what I believe one field goal in the second half. So it's like when you see that, you can't, it's so confusing to me, like trying to decipher what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong when it's literally a tale of two different teams, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, we knew what New Jersey was going to do in terms of their offensive game plan. I mean, they're a run-first team, and I think you and I both are pretty confident in this team's ability to stuff the run. I think that you and I both thought that it was going to be Perez that was going to have to beat us in our supposed weakness, right? I mean, we've talked about the pass coverage in this defense has been pretty bad, and they did exploit some of those things. I mean, but the passing game was not the first tool out of the bag for New Jersey. They are a run first team that opens up play action. It opens up their screen passing. It all starts with an effective day on the ground for New Jersey's rushing attack, man. Darius Victor, 72 yards on 14 attempts. He had one 21-yard run and a touchdown. I mean, that's a solid day at the office. It's not spectacular, but it got the job done. And just so many times that Darius Victor was able to just, I mean, he's a short dude, but he just he attacks the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he's not afraid of contact at all. And that was, sorry to interrupt you, but that was one of the things that I noticed, especially in the first half when Victor would run the ball. That's when I noticed the most arm tackles. It almost felt like he hit somebody once, and they're like, ooh, I don't want that again. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, that's where a lot of those arm tackles come in. Well, and a lot of it, I mean, Victor is so quick, too. And I don't mean like he doesn't have, I don't think he has like blazing speed, but he's, I guess his acceleration, I guess, is the way to talk about it, where he can be going one way and then make a quick pivot, and because he's so just low center of gravity and just he's a unit, but he's very compact, so he can get past the first level and ultimately drag his feet for another 2-3 yards. I mean, we saw that so many times that he busted one really long run, and even that was after contact. I think it was he hit one or two dudes on the way there.
Yeah, that was if I'm not mistaken, that was in the first half, and it was off to the right. Yeah, he took it up the right, and it wasn't even an outside run, but he bounced up the middle, cut outside, and then got taken down from behind. Yeah.
Well, and just when you have Victor, Darius Victor, who's been he was really good with New York in the XFL, and here he is just being a solid effort. I mean, I don't know if his size will get him to the NFL. Unfortunately, I just think that he'll be overlooked, but that's why he's here, and all he's doing is putting up just phenomenal results for New Jersey.
Yeah.
And but they also had a Turpin, who I think we talked about him last week as a guy.
Person we said,
yeah, we talked about their ability because they can put him in the slot, they can put him in the run game, and he got involved. Not statistic, like if you look at the box score, he wasn't. He had 4 rushes for 13 yards. Okay, that does not tell the story though that he has gravity when he gets a little end around, and he's always a threat for that end around. So what that makes you do is, I mean, I saw it so many times, is we have very active linebackers, and so if you're Christian Sam or you're Greg Reeves or you're looking at him, and you're seeing a guy streaking in the slot, you're gonna shuffle step a couple times, and what you just did is you just opened up an inch or two more for Darius Victor to get through, and inevitably, like if we wouldn't have focused on Turpin, he would have broke a bigger run because they're all about getting him involved. So I guess with that said, what did you think about New Jersey's play calling?
I think that in the first half, they called everything almost perfect. They were hitting us with all the little dink and dump passes, like exactly like what we expected. I also noticed one of the big things that I noticed was that we couldn't cover the short routes, like any kind of, out of the backfield or just a quick out. We could not cover those. And that's what led to most of their yards, especially in the first half, was the ability, like the touchdown to Turpin was, it was a 2-yard out route, a little just 2-yard out route. He caught it and ran it in for, I think it was like 13 yards or something. Like, it's just those little things that it felt like we couldn't do. So they were capitalizing on that, and it just felt like they were hitting us right where they needed to every single chance they got.
Yeah, I agree with you. They were not looking for the deep ball. It was all about small gains. And again, that's because their running attack was efficient. It was working.
Yeah.
And so when you're that good on the run, now the play action is a problem. Now, you got Turpin. Where's Turpin? Now I got to worry about where's Victor. Now I got to worry about, oh, my God, he doesn't have the ball. Perez just pulled it back out, and he made good decisions the whole game too.
Yeah.
Like for all of the things I'll talk about in a second, why I think New Jersey didn't get the blowout that they should have. I will say that Perez, he wasn't putting them in bad positions. He wasn't making horrible decisions. He wasn't making super bad throws. And again, you said they were chipping away like little dink and dunk. I mean,
yeah,
they had one 30-yard pass, and that was yards after catch, and you had a 20-yard rush, more than one rush of more than 20 yards. But otherwise, Luis Perez was just kind of exploiting holes in the zone with the screen play or with the short route or the check down and all this kind. Yeah, I mean, it was great.
He was a game manager. Is like that's the word they like to use in the NFL when a quarterback's not great, but he makes it. He gets it done. I think Eli Manning was one of those quarterbacks that they called a game manager.
Yeah.
To where he's literally going to do what it takes to. He's not going to win you a game. Or you're not going to win because of him, but you can win with him, kind of a deal. Yeah. Is what it felt like in that game.
Yeah. So why wasn't this a blowout, Zach? Why didn't they just put 55 points on the board?
The second half.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Our defense stepped up in the second half. We had guys like Butler and Sam out there just making. It felt like every tackle on the team. I know it's not realistic, but. I mean, Butler had 13, if I'm not mistaken. Sam had 12, and a guy that I didn't mention previously, but Meeks had 10 tackles and the only pass defense on the whole game, or the whole game on the Bandits side. So I think our defense just stepped up and gave us the opportunity to win it, and they came out and did what they had to do to kind of make up for what our offense wasn't doing again.
Yeah, that bend but don't break defense didn't break in the second half.
Yeah, exactly.
And they barely bent, to be honest with you. We were talking about all the great things that Victor and Perez were able to do, but this defense didn't give up massive plays. They created great pressure. I think after a little bit of tweaking about the aggressiveness from the first half, they still got in there. I mean, we had tackles for loss. We had a sack. I mean, we had a lot of things, and they were getting rid of the ball quickly. Perez wasn't sitting there in the pocket for 7 seconds, trying to make decisions. It's a handoff, or it's a read, or it's a play action, or it's a quick throw. I mean, those were your options, and they just the defense was able to force them into some funnels. Sometimes they kept first and second down very manageable, I think, from a defensive perspective. You keep them where it's 3rd and 7, 2nd and 8, these
exactly.
kind of things. And because Perez wasn't sitting there holding the ball or making bad decisions, the knock was that I think the defense just wasn't able to create turnover opportunities. Because basically at that point you're like, I got to punch the ball out. That's it.
Yeah, and the one thing, there was one play in the fourth quarter. It was a pass that was way underthrown by Perez. It was deep downfield. Perez underthrew it, but the receiver was so far behind our defensive back that he had time to stop, jump up, have our cornerback run past him, catch the ball for like 25, 30 yards.
Yeah.
And it's like just instances like that should have been a pick. You cannot let him that far behind you, whether you think you have safety help or not. You can't do that. And so, that's one of the few in the second half. That was one of the few issues that I saw with our defense, and that, it kind of plays into what you were saying, where we're not going to be able to create a turnover because either Perez is getting lucky or Perez is just doing what he needs to do. But it felt like we were never going to get that turnover. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, we're destined to not have this happen at this point.
And unfortunately, that's been once or twice or 3 times in at least recently, that the secondary will be in a great position and then nope, no, you're not. It's a battle. I mean, we just watched Philadelphia, man. They should have had 2 or 3 picks in that game, and whether it's they're just not taking care of the opportunities. In this game, unfortunately, they didn't even have a lot of the opportunities.
Yeah.
But I wanted to flip the script on New Jersey because we've been giving them a lot of praise, and rightfully so. They won. They won. But again, like I don't think New Jersey played good enough offense to win the game. Versus the. I mean, look, if we had a better offense, we probably would have won this game, and we wouldn't have deserved it. But the defense did just enough. And New Jersey's offense shot themselves in the foot a lot. New Jersey had a ton of offsides, false starts, just penalties after penalties that killed their own drives. And they even, I mean, I guess the kicking game isn't the offense, but they missed a field goal early in this game that they were giving Tampa Bay like a lot of opportunities to keep the ball, especially in the first half, that we just didn't take advantage of.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. If we had a better offense, we could have won the game. Unfortunately, I mean, like, yes, we could have, and I feel like I may have said that a little too optimistically based on what I'm going to say next.
Yeah.
Because as much as we're talking about like how good the Generals are, how poorly the Generals played to have won the game, you know,
yeah.
I feel like we're not talking about how just outstanding their defense was. So it's like.
True. Well, we'll get into that because we're about to talk about our offense versus their defense.
Yeah, so I feel like if our offense was better, we probably would have won quite a few of the games that we've lost.
Sure.
But it goes back into, you know, without us talking about our offense, you know, our defense is doing what they can. You can't expect, you know, it's in a professional sports, on a professional sports team in a game, you can't expect your defense to hold a team under 13 points every week, and very seldomly are we getting, you know, many more points than that, you know? So it's like we can't expect for our defense to give up 21 points and us not ever be able to match that. And 21 points in the game is not, you know, it's not that crazy. That's 3 touchdowns. So when you expect your defense to do that every single week, you're never going to be able to produce, you know?
Right. I mean, you can't expect that. Look, it's...
Exactly.
Basically what I'm saying is I don't think New Jersey's offense played well enough to win the game. Like, they should have had 35 or 40 points.
Oh, agreed.
But
Easy.
they had 20, right? Because of our good defense. But mixed in with what they did badly. But also... they got 3 turnovers. The New Jersey offense got 3 more drives that they shouldn't have had because of the failures of the offense. And we will get into that in just a second.
I'm excited to talk about that.
But this defense, I think, played well enough. I mean, if your quarterback only has 174 yards on the opposing team, and you held them to technically under 100 yards as a team, and you know, and you're going to keep them at 20 points. It's like, well, and again, some of their scoring drives shouldn't have existed. I mean, really,
100%.
So, I don't know if New Jersey, you know, killing themselves in some drives with false starts, offsets, turnovers by our offense, but it just looked like we had the game tying drive in our hands, and that's because of the great defense. Like, let's talk about individuals. First, I think we both have Anthony Butler on our list as like a really good. I think he had a big presence in this game, and this was his first game, right? This is technically his first game with us. I believe so. He's a guy we brought on after Mekhi Brown was released, and he had 13 tackles, 7 of them solo, tied for the lead there, and he had a tackle for loss. So what a way to get your name on the stat sheet and get some good game film. Go ahead.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. He came in and introduced himself, and was like, you know what? I know this is Christian Sam's team, but I'm here too. We haven't really, like, truthfully haven't had that second player that we can be like, oh, he's a beast too. Yeah. We've had a few players that have had good games here, good games there, but you know, Christian Sam has had good games every single week. Like, I can't remember a time where we got on here and we're like, oh,
yeah,
Sam had a doozy of a game. Like,
no,
so we can add, I guess, Butler to that list now. The same thing. You know, he's a guy that every game he's played with us has been great.
Well, no shocker. You just said it. Christian Sam is another guy I want to talk about. Again, he's all he's doing is, I mean, why is Christian Sam not in the NFL? I don't get it. And if he doesn't get a shot after this season, I don't understand. Like, I don't care how old he is. He's producing, and you're telling me that he's not worthy of being on somebody's roster somewhere.
Exactly.
Ridiculous. And that's exactly what the USFL is here for. So Christian Sam, 7 solo tackles out of I had him at 11 tackles.
Yeah, it may have been 11. Yeah, I said 12 earlier, but it may have been 11.
He had a tackle for loss, and he forced a fumble. He forced the fumble, baby. So let's go. But we're the Christian Sam fan club, so we every week, yeah.
I told you when we were doing the preview shows back when we first started this that he was going to be a guy. He haunted my nightmares for the longest time playing in the Pac-12. Yeah. And now that he's on the team, I knew we were going to be fans of him because he's just a beast.
Well, and it's a dude, again, I had no idea. We're going to do, I mean, when we get to the postseason, off season, whatever, when we're doing our final shows about this season, this is a dude that went from not on my radar at all to now being like, I'm gonna follow this dude wherever he goes.
Oh, 100%.
Let's go. I'm a Christian Sam fan.
Exactly.
So Travis Feeney, I thought had a stat-filled box score too: 6 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss. He was getting it done up front on the line, I think.
Yeah, no, he was one of the guys. I had a different guy as my third kind of star per se, you know. Yep. But Feeney had the only sack of the night, so that's something huge that we could use a lot more of those. and truthfully, I think Feeney is probably up there in sack leader as a sack leader for our team. I don't know the exact stats right now, but I think he's probably up towards the top in that. Which, I mean, he's another one of those guys that, like, we don't ever hear about him having a bad game. He just doesn't have very many great games.
Again, pretty solid, yeah. Who was your if not Feeney, who was your next guy you wanted to talk about?
Meeks.
Ooh, okay.
Meeks was one of the, you know, I feel like he's actually one of the guys that we talk about almost every week when he's not hurt. That's kind of been his biggest issue.
Agreed.
But, you know, he came out, had 10 tackles. He had 1 pass defense, and I mentioned it earlier, but it was the only pass defense that we had all game.
Yeah.
And he plays safety, which is weird that our corners are not getting those and our safeties are. So I think that he's making his case for why he's probably the best safety on our team.
I think he had a really good game. I believe he was the guy that got burned once by Turpin at the goal line, but other than that, it was a solid effort. I mean, what are you going to do? Turpin he's going to get one of them.
And that was the play that I was talking about where it was a little 2-yard out, and you know, when you're playing as a safety, for you to get out to that, it should have been a linebacker, and I will die by that. I will say that 100 times. It should have been a linebacker on him. Granted, he's fast as hell, I know.
Yeah.
But for you to be a safety, and you got to think you're one of the furthest back on the field, for you to have to drop down, get through all those picks that they do, because, you know, even though it's illegal, they're throwing picks in there. So it's like for you to have to get through there. I mean, yes, technically that was his fault, but in my eyes, it's like, okay, it happens. Like, it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, one other guy that I wanted to bring up is, of course, USF Bull Greg Reeves.
There we go.
I think he had a good push to get in the backfield in this game. He almost batted down 2 screenplays in a row, and he didn't really have statistics in this game, but he was a constant presence in the backfield. And I think that Reeves did a good job from the linebacker position. So I wanted to give kudos to him.
Oh, yeah, I'm all for it. Give everyone kudos. I mean, realistically, I don't think there's anyone on the defense that I can be like, wow, you sucked this week.
Again, yeah, agreed. I didn't think there were, because there's been some games in this losing streak that we've had, and throughout this year, it's been more losses than wins. And unfortunately, there's been like boneheaded play or a broken play, or we just talked about, you know, these weird plays that the guy underthrows the receiver, but they still get the damn catch or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't a lot of that in this game. A couple that we've already talked about, but like I'm happy with this. I mean, I wish the outcome was different, but I'm like, I mean, I'll go to bat for that. We've been doing that for 25 minutes now. We'll go to bat for this defense.
Yeah, I have no ill will towards our defense at all. I think our defense is one of the best.
Well, unfortunately, you were handing out flowers. We it's about to get pessimistic.
Do we have to talk about it?
It's about to get real pessimistic in here. Because we didn't win this game. We did not win this game, and man.
And let us tell you why.
Man, it is I'm going to make a shirt for the shop.rblrsports.com. This isn't the real plug, but I'm going to have to make, like, it's going to be like a guy in a number 10 jersey on a roller coaster, man, because
he is so inconsistent, bro.
Buddy. And look, we pile on to Jordan Ta'amu, but he had a bad game. This was unfortunately he didn't have the redemption, right? In a couple of these games, we make the comeback. Oh wow, we scored the game-winning or game-tying drive with the skin of our teeth. Well, and even with as bad as he was specifically individually, we still sort of had that chance. But Jordan Ta'amu just statistically 17 of 37 on the day, 237 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. And unfortunately, it should have been worse than that. It should have been worse than that. Go ahead.
He had, I mean, a 42.3 QBR. 42.3. He was the second overall pick in the entire draft. So without ever seeing Brady White throw the damn ball, I can tell you that he is terrible at football if Jordan Ta'amu has not been benched yet.
Man, yeah, if it wasn't going to be time, it never is going to be time. So
yeah, he's like, at this point, what can he do worse to not get benched? Like, I have tried for 7 weeks now to have faith in him.
Yeah.
And it is slowly slipping away, and I'm sorry for all you Ta'amu fans, but in the last 4 games he has not thrown a pick, right? Or I mean, sorry, 2 combined picks in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
This game he threw 3. And just real quick to give you guys listening an idea. The first one was in the second quarter. The first 2 were in the second quarter.
Yeah.
HOU Henry, who had a hell of a game.
Granted, yes.
Jordan Ta'amu cannot stop staring down his running back. Literally looked at him the entire route.
That was the problem.
As a high school corner, I did not do anything out of high school. So that's how easy it is to pick up on this. You cannot stare down a wide receiver without even a high schooler picking up on that, let alone a professional player. Yeah. I know that this is not the NFL, but these guys are still professional players. Then he goes in to possibly some of the best coverage I've ever seen by a corner. Again, HOU Henry. And Ta'amu throws the ball. I believe he was trying to get it to Papale. Throws it literally into the tightest coverage I've seen and just instantly gets it picked. Then comes out in the third quarter and possibly the biggest overthrow I've ever seen. Gets it picked off by the safety. So it's like, throughout the game, you see him make a few crazy, a tight hole pass and it gets right where it needs to go, or Vinny Papale making some amazing catches that shouldn't have been thrown either. But then you see him overthrow a tight end from 15 yards away.
Yeah.
So it's just the inconsistency is mind-boggling, and I'm sorry I'm going on a rant.
No, you're good.
I am just
let it out.
Emotional about this.
Let it out, man.
He's not what we signed up for.
Yeah, to go back to what you said, I mean, just kind of chronologically, it should have, like I said, it should have been worse because, he should have been intercepted in the red zone in the second quarter. Like that's and that's what I'm saying is we were on a scoring drive. Well, actually, I think we got a field goal that drive, but it should have been an interception that would have taken those points off the board. He did get intercepted again by Henry on where he's just staring down Keith Mumphrey. He's looking for him, and it's just he stares down the receiver, and there's a player in the zone coverage right. Like I don't know if he was invisible. Look, I know that they were wearing black and red too, which is a problem in this league. There's too much red, but come on, man! Like this dude was invisible in zone coverage, and then later, a little later on a 4th and 2. Because we didn't actually punt a lot in this game at all.
No, we didn't.
We went for it on 4th down. One that we'll talk about that was awesome. But the 4th and 2, the line breaks down, which we'll get into that too. The line breaks down. Jordan scrambles and throws it at the feet of a receiver who wasn't open, and that forces a turnover. It wasn't an interception, but it was a turnover. Then at the 2-minute drill at halftime, that's when he stares down Papale. And Henry is smothering him. Again, you said it was tight coverage. I mean, Henry is smothering Papale, and he throws it right at him, and that's was a pick. And then when we get the ball at the first drive of the second half, and we're running the ball so well.
So efficiently,
bro. Killing it, dude. It's like, oh yeah, this is what we needed to unlock our offense, and we are moving the ball.
Washington had an amazing run. Killing it.
So what do? The first pass attempt of the damn drive, he it was like a seam route. It just was a look, and I get that maybe he's looking for a PI because like he throws the ball, and I don't think the receiver wasn't open like at all, and he definitely wasn't open to the route that was going to wherever. Let's just say that Tamu threw it where he wanted to throw it, which again might not be the issue. He might have overthrown it again, but let's just say he threw it where he wanted it to as a quarterback. The receiver A was running the wrong route if that's where he threw it to, and B, if he was trying to do the whole trickeration where you like throw it at a dude as he's getting like ran into by a defender. Like that wasn't good enough either. So it was just
because the ball has to be catchable
again.
And it was not catchable by anyone on the offense.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it was a seam or not because he was going to the outside, so it was either an out or a corner.
Yeah, and
literally the guy that I want to say it was O'Grady, but I don't remember exactly who he was throwing to.
I think it was Cheyenne O'Grady.
I think it was O'Grady, and the linebacker was all over O'Grady, and he wasn't even the one that picked it. It was the safety. But even the guy he was throwing to, like you said, it may have been he was trying to get PI.
Yeah.
But in order for you to get PI, the ball has to be catchable. If the ball's not catchable, they're not going to call PI unless you're tackling the dude. It just, oh, God.
But he throws this floating rainbow, and it didn't get out of bounds. It didn't get towards the receiver. It didn't get anywhere. It overthrew the receiver and the defender. But here was the other problem is that, of course, we're staring down the receiver. There was a receiver, and this is on 3rd down. This was to convert a 3rd down, by the way. Like this was the play call, like 3rd and 8 or something like that, I believe. There's a receiver open in the middle of the field at the sticks. Like he is wide open, and he didn't even look at him. He didn't even look at him. He picked the button he was going to throw before he hiked the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it felt like that all game, and that was the thing, man.
That was the worst, yes.
Like I'm trying to not be completely hating on him, but I mean this game, like Tamu, this one falls on you, bro. Like that's just all there is to it. In all reality, this loss falls on you.
Yeah. Well, look, he takes the major piece of the cake, okay? And I mean, dude, it's just man, look, but I can't just blame him. I mean, even when Tamu had time in the pocket, and even when he had a receiver, there were a couple times that, I mean, JF3 did drop the ball, just outright just dropped it early in this game.
He did have one drop, yeah.
And unfortunately, he has one or two of those in a game. And then Davis again, but I don't really truly fault Davis completely, because he had Bosby just all over him, and so but he got the ball to his fingertips, and Rashard Davis had to he kind of had to juggle it a little bit, but even when he had a second chance as he's falling down in coverage, couldn't pull it in. Tried to kind of pull it towards his helmet. I mean, this was a game that everyone needed to bail him out, man. He got the ball to the receivers, and they're gonna have to catch it. Like, as much as I love JF3, you're a big fan of JF3, and I don't think he's making the case to get in the league. I mean, at this level, he has dropped the ball a few times a game, or I mean, he makes these eclectic plays. It's like when you can get him the ball, and when he gets it and catches it and makes the play, he is so dangerous. And to be honest with you, I wanted to give him a shout out because I think he's been doing great in the kick return game. JF3 is, I mean, maybe he does have a more of an ability to do that at the next level. But as far as running routes and making a bad quarterback look better, which you're gonna have to do in the NFL. Not every one of these quarterbacks is good in the NFL, is great at the NFL level, right? You're gonna have to make a mediocre quarterback look better sometimes, and he definitely is not passing that case here. What did you see? Let's just talk about receivers. Was there anything bad about the receiving today that you, outside of when Jordan Ta'amu actually got them the ball?
So, to touch on your point of JF3, you know, he was one of the guys that impressed me this game, and not for what he did, more of what he caused, if that makes any sense. Yes, he did have the drop. Unfortunately, I don't disagree that he might not be making the best case, but I also think that he's making a decent case because the mediocre quarterbacks in the NFL are better than Ta'amu. So, and I mean, again, not to just throw digs at him, but the mediocre starting quarterbacks, the bad starting quarterbacks in the NFL are in the NFL. You know, so it's like even the bad ones are still a step up from Ta'amu. But my big thing for him in this game is he did draw a lot of coverage. He had one catch on 6 targets, and I think, you know, aside from the one drop, most of those were just good covered plays. But what he did for me and why I was so appreciative of him, aside from just the touchdown that he had, was he drew the coverage away from Papale, which gave Papale, you know, 4 receptions, 68 yards, the best game of his young USFL career. And I thought he played phenomenal. He's my offensive, to me, in a loss, he is my offensive MVP this week, without a doubt.
Yeah, Papale absolutely had the best game of his USFL career, man. I mean, he took advantage of the opportunity. I would say, so if I mean, maybe I'm man, I'm trying to find some way to say it wasn't just Jordan Ta'amu.
Good luck.
I know, and I guess no, it's okay. And I guess if you're not going to agree with me on the receivers, and at least can we come to a agreement about the offensive line again?
Oh my God,
the offensive line losing the battle again. And
do we even have to I don't even think that's a debate. I don't even think we could debate that if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Letting the defensive ends come anytime they want. Basically a free buffet. Bad snaps. Just all around was not a good game for the offensive line either.
Yeah, if there's a silver lining, I guess, in the Jordan Ta'amu camp, I mean, and look, I don't know. We're not in the locker room with these guys, and I don't. Even if we had the opportunity, like in a sealed room with no cell phones and nothing, I don't know if Jordan would ever like just say, "Yeah, these dudes are letting me down." I don't think he's that kind of leader, but you can look at the statistics, you can look at the game, you can look at whatever you want. All of the roads are leading that. There is no running game for the Tampa Bay Bandits, unfortunately. Like, they cannot establish the run, and even if they we at the beginning of the season, of course, we thought it was going to be this high octane passing offense, but you still have no foundation if you have no running game, and so you couldn't get a running game established. Even when the passing game wasn't working. Other than a few fits and starts, the running game wasn't there, but it got going, and then something else would pull the rug from underneath it, right? Like Ta'amu's performance.
Yeah,
but
and Washington, our leading rusher, 8 rushes for 41 yards. One of them was a 27-yard rush. And one of my notes that I have in the third quarter was great run by Washington to the outside. In parentheses, need more of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we've got to figure out our identity, and I don't think that it's going to be a power rush team. And unfortunately, I think that that's what they're trying to do too much, and that's why I think our run game is not necessarily working, because we're trying to be this power rush team, throw the ball or run the ball right up the middle with Emmons or Washington. And I'm not putting that on any one of the backs, because when you have a line that can't block, a running back can't do it all. Like, look at some of the greatest running backs in the NFL to ever do it. When you have a crappy line, it makes great running backs look crappy. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So I think we need to adjust more to an outside zone run, and just go from there as far as to get a rush game going.
Well, and here's the same side of that coin is that. Look, our identity that I think they want is a spread them out, throw the ball, like do that stuff. And unfortunately, this super complex passing attack that we've got, it needs long developing routes. And if you don't have a threat of the run, we know you're going to pass the ball. And if you can't hold a block as a lineman, we're bringing the sandwich. We're setting up camp. We're putting up teepees. We're starting a fire back here. And then on top of that, so now you've got, one more part of that is that we know you're going to pass the ball, and we know that your offense isn't a quick pass, screens, and who cares if you run a screen? We know you don't run the ball, so there's no play action. We don't care. We don't care about your play action. You're don't run the ball.
You're not fooling anyone.
So what are you going to do about it? We can just kind of sit back and basically, so because of this, like, that's why you can't shoot yourself in the foot. You can't have multiple false starts as a line. Mm-hmm. You can't snap the ball 30 yards into the backfield. And actually, thankfully, Ta'amu picked the ball up and chucked it. He got laid out on the play.
Destroyed. I was going to say that's probably the biggest hit he's taken all season.
So your quarterback is getting his ass beat every week.
Yeah.
You can't hold a block. We can't throw the ball because you can't hold a block. There has to be some play calling changes. You have to know that, look, if we can't hold a block for 3 seconds and we can't run the ball, then we needed to see some of the play calling changes that we haven't seen all year. It's been the same plays at all. So.
Exactly. And as much crap as I've been talking about Ta'amu, I am going to give him a little out here real quick. I think offensive line play is a big reason, if not the biggest reason, as to why he is not successful with the Bandits.
It's one of them, yeah.
And so to give him a little bit of an out, I will say that maybe it's not all his fault, but I am putting this game on him.
Yeah, look, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that Jordan Ta'amu isn't the only devil in this instance.
Yeah, agreed.
But without a doubt, again, even when they held the block, even when the receiver was there, he would overthrow the ball. So it's
exactly.
Like just there were no saints on the offense. There were only but we are 45 minutes into this podcast. Is there anything good you want to talk about? Any specific person or play or whatever? There's got to be some ray of sunshine. I mean,
I talked about it a little bit already, but Vinny Papale had the best game of his career and made a couple of amazing catches that, again, were either thrown behind him or too high. So he made a couple of really good catches. Cheyenne O'Grady had a couple of really good catches. One amazing catch on the sideline. So to me, that's, without being too negative, unless you want me to talk bad or talk good on their defense, that's really all that I can speak on.
Oh, Zach, I gave you a softball, baby, and you whiffed right through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The words Corbin Kaufusi, man. This is the big man. The big man. The basketball playing offensive lineman, my guy. And you talk about play calling. It's fourth down. And they call the fat man. They call the play. Well, and what's really cool. So let's. I'm giving flowers here. They actually set this play up a couple plays earlier by bringing in the extra tackle. So it didn't seem out of the ordinary, right? They were like, oh, the only way they can run the ball is if they bring in an extra tackle as a tight end. Great. So they do that a couple times on this exact drive. Then they run this play where Kaufusi is the tight end. He makes a 1 second, 2 second block and then just bolts across the field. And Jordan Ta'amu gets it to him. And Kaufusi, it wasn't a perfectly thrown ball. Shocker.
Surprise.
But the rebounding big man figures it out. He bobbles it a little bit, but he makes the big play. He's the hero of the game. He gets the sideline interview. He gets they start recapping his career as a dude, and it's his time to shine in an otherwise really bad situation. He comes out smelling of roses, and without a doubt, he is the biggest good thing that I can say about this offense. I mean, they did have some long plays late in the game, and they were, but then again, the second half, the Generals were up by 2 scores anyway. So some of these longer plays that we were getting, I don't know if they're discounted, but I kind of think that. So the only thing that my man Corbin could have done to look better on that play is if he would have ripped off his shoulder pads and said, you know what, I'm going to celebrate with this awesome, barely legal football shirt that I got from shop.rblrsports.com. If my man Corbin he would have been a legend on Twitter. He would have been blowing up TikTok. He would have been the star of the USFL if all he did was promote that cool shirt that we have celebrating our Bandits at shop.rblrsports.com. There is a link right in the description, and if you use the promo code BANDITBALL, you're going to get 10% off your order. And what's cool is there's multiple colors to choose from, because most of the t-shirts on shop.rblrsports.com, whether they're celebrating the Rays, the Rowdies, the Lightning, who are in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Buccaneers, the other professional team, whether it's, no matter what team you love in the Tampa Bay area, we've got shirts that are in multiple colors. You get it in whatever size you want. There's men's, there's women's, there's whatever you want. We've got it. And if you use the promo code BANDITBALL, you're going to get 10% off your order. Well, Zach, let's talk about reality here.
Okay.
Let's talk about reality.
Can we just keep talking about the shirts, please?
Yeah, man. Look, if Ta'amu gets a shirt on him, buddy, that's all he has to do. He's
gonna have a QBR of at least
over.
50.
1,000. I don't know if it goes that high, but it'll get there, bro. But let's talk about reality. Todd Haley said that last week was a must-win game and a, quote, crossroads for the Bandits. Well, all of that might have been hyperbole or whatever, but now it literally is now or never. for the Bandits. We'll talk about the rest of the league and kind of the playoff scenarios, but New Orleans, who sits right above us in the standings, they would have to lose out the rest of the season, and Tampa Bay would have to win the remainder of our games to get to the playoffs. There is a there is a secondary scenario where if New Orleans loses twice, then there would be a tie break. We still have to win the whole time, but if if New Orleans only loses twice and we win all the games, there's a tie-breaking scenario that we would have to get to. But New Orleans controls their destiny, and Tampa Bay now plays the Houston Gamblers for the second time. There are only 3 weeks left in this season for the Bandits. If they want to continue their season, they're going to have to win every single one of these games. If they lose, they are out. Well, they didn't make a lot of changes. The rosters have been expanded. The going into this game against Houston, we have claimed a quarterback off of waivers, Guy Myers.
Great name.
He was a New Jersey General, so I would make the joke that like he didn't get on the plane, but they're all living in Birmingham, so like he probably just changed locker rooms like after the game. We did sign wide receiver D. Anderson as a kind of a guy that we'll maybe see later on, and we also because Reggie Howard is injured and has been released, we did sign Salamain Kamara out of Wake Forest as a defensive tackle. So again, the protocol for the Bandits has been kind of
a week off.
Yeah, you don't play the first week, you get accustomed, and then you get in there. And we've seen. I don't think there's a rule that prevents them. They do change the rules a lot here in the USFL. Over 2 months, they have changed a few rules, but I don't believe there's a rule because we've seen guys on waivers. Like Kyle Auletta
Shea Patterson.
Wow, these are guys that are quarterbacks and that throw the ball, and they suited up immediately. I mean, Kyle Auletta was ready to play in the game against us this week. So I don't think there's a rule, but I think that's just kind of how Todd Haley's running his team here. But let's talk about Houston Gamblers. This Sunday at 4 p.m., we are the final game of the weekend. There is a game. As we're recording this on Friday night, there is a game going on right now. There's a couple games on Saturday, and we are the Sunday game at 4 p.m. Tampa Bay is favored to win this game by 5.5 points. What is your first reaction to that? But also kind of how the Bandits are looking going into this game.
I mean, the Bandits are looking like they've looked all. We've been relatively healthy. And we've had injuries here and there, but we've not had really, aside from Meeks, that's the only big name injury that I can think of. We had Bruno Reagan too.
Yeah, well, some of our offensive line problems did really exacerbate after that.
And so, man, I don't know. Houston is a team that they're very, very bad. I think they're the only team that's technically eliminated from playoff contention right now.
That's correct.
But, man, I don't know. I just don't. Something deep inside of me is telling me that I'm not having a good feeling. Houston has one of those teams that has been in every single game they played. I think their biggest loss was 7 points to New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken.
Last week was probably their worst loss, but before
yeah. So they're a team that's felt like has been in every single game. So I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk like most people that see a 1-6 record expect it to be.
A classic case that they're better than the 1-6 record that they currently possess. I mean, look, they won in week 1. They beat Michigan by 5 points, and that's kind of like LOL because Michigan turned out to. Michigan is probably as bad as we have been. We're one game under 500. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Michigan has Jeff Fisher as their coach, and they're 1-6. Usually, we'd think he'd be the one that's 3-4, and or at least hovering around 500, right? But let's look at the rest of their way to get here. They are on a 6-game losing streak, and the way that they've got there is they lost by 5 points to Birmingham, which is the undefeated team in this league. They we'll get to this in a second, but they lost to us by 1 point, and we had to come back at the very end of that game to win that game, 27-26. Then they lose to New Orleans, the second best team or third best team in this league, but they were second best in the league probably at the time. It was 23-16. That's not a blowout by any means.
No.
The New Orleans did us way dirtier. Then they turn around and they lose the Toilet Bowl, 21-20 against Pittsburgh. That is just hands down the
unacceptable.
worst. That is unacceptable. That is the worst loss. That tells me right there why they're on the lower end of that. But then they turn around. The New Jersey team that should have blown us out of the water, they only lost to New Jersey by 1 point. But their worst loss absolutely came last week in a 35-24 loss to the Philadelphia Stars, who the Stars handled us pretty well.
Yeah.
But they were up. The Houston Gamblers were up 17-13 at halftime and ended up giving up 22 points in the fourth quarter to Philadelphia to turn around and just grab defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're on a pretty bad run, and last week was their worst run. So tell me about what you think of the Houston Gamblers offense.
So, see, I'm going to be just brutally honest with you, and I'm going to tell you from offense to defense, I don't have much to say about them. Like, I can't say anything they do terrible, and I can't say anything they do great. I can't pick – to me, I can't pick out any players. Like, I know Isaiah Zuber is on their team, former New England Patriot. Like, I know that they have weapons, but they're just mediocre. And,
I think that's a good way to put it.
And so, I mean, like, trying to not – I feel like talking to you about it, like, I feel like I didn't do my research, but, like, literally all I can say is – like, I don't have anything to talk about with them because they're just so kind of middle of the road, like, players and coaching.
Agreed. Let's not mince words here. They are not overwhelmingly good at anything. They're good at hanging on. I mean, they don't give up, I guess. But like last week, if you just take a look at last week alone, they only had 199 yards total. And they turned the ball over 3 times. So that's how they lose. That's how you end up losing 22 points in the fourth quarter. But the last time that they played us, like Clayton Thorson had himself a really good game against us and they're at a different. Now that they're eliminated from the playoffs, I believe that Houston's going to play this game. Well, there's a lot going into how Houston is coming into this game. So Houston they're playing with house money now, man. Like, look, they can play spoiler. They can beat us. Whose day can they ruin? They can ruin our day for sure. They can take us out of the playoffs. Boom. That's it. So if you're a player playing for that pride, that's one thing. But now you're trying the best that you can to put game film on that is good and that will give you a reason for a team to take a chance on you. So with that said, in the passing game, Clayton Thorson is probably not going to take all of the snaps. He probably will be splitting time with Kenji Bahar. I believe they're both going to get their turns on offense, and they're going to try to put the best film. So you have motivation in terms of like, okay, look, we're not going to win a ring or a medal or whatever they're giving out for the USFL, but they're going to be trying their hardest. Now, unfortunately, for the Houston Gambler fans out there, their run game is just as bad as ours, if not worse. Thompson last week had 13 attempts on 47 yards on 13 attempts, and his longest was a 15-yard run against the Philadelphia Stars. 2 weeks ago, he had 22 yards versus the same New Jersey defense we just played, and it wasn't 3 weeks ago in the Toilet Bowl, he had 80 yards on 17 attempts versus the Pittsburgh Maulers that I believe we just like ran all over at Pittsburgh. But it took. I mean, dude, we're talking not even 150 yards in 3 weeks. With almost 40 to 50 attempts there. My math is wrong. I went to public school, so. But
so did I. We're good.
So that's what I'm saying. Their passing game isn't phenomenal, but it's not horrible. Their running game has potential.
It's horrible,
but it's not great. Then we turn around and we look at their defense. They do create takeaways. Man, they lead the league with 16 turnovers created. They create pressure, which is a bad thing for this offensive line. They have over 15 sacks in 7 games, okay? When you average 2 sacks, man, they are just sitting there, looking
at our offensive line like, yep, we got this.
Oh, yeah, Bushel Beatty. Oh, yeah, buddy. Ooh, Corbin Kaufusi. Oh, yeah, buddy. Oh, yeah, they are just salivating over the opportunity that they can. So there's opportunity to play there. Then on top of that, we are beating ourselves up. So what do the Bandits have to do to beat the Houston Gamblers for the second time this season?
We need a consistent Jordan Ta'amu. I mean, there's no two ways about it. If we can get a consistent version of him, I think we can win this game. If we can't, then truthfully, I mean, I'm not going to get into score prediction yet till you're ready, but
yeah.
I don't know at this point. It's a lot, man.
Yeah. Well, I think offensively, if we can't run, we can't throw. And if we can't throw, we can't score.
Yeah.
And if we can't score, then that means you can't win. And conversely, the only way to win is that our defense has to create turnovers or pitch a shutout. I mean, really, that's it. If the defense isn't absolutely perfect, now we're making our offense win this game. Yeah. And unfortunately, as good as we keep saying our defense, man, I am happy about our defense. We just haven't had the results, man. And really, that's, man, that the one of the reasons that we're 3-4 is because we are good defensively overall, but we are the second worst team in points allowed, and a lot of that comes from our bad offense creating more opportunities for opposing offenses to score points. We had one game where literally they only had one drive in their own side of the field. Okay, like I get that. So I'm not saying this defense is solely responsible for their points allowed. However, they only have 3 turnovers all season, and this offense needs all of the help it can get. So yeah, like, man. Go ahead and give me your score prediction. Let's just head right into that because
just
I've
jump
said
right
all
into
that.
it.
Let's just get this because really it comes down to us. So, but go ahead.
All right. God. Oh, I think our playoff hopes die this week, and I don't want it to. So I'm going to say this like I've said every time I've said we're going to lose. I have begged Tampa to prove me wrong.
Please.
I do not want to be right. But I am predicting a 17-10 loss this week.
I got so shocked by that I almost knocked over my microphone here. Yeah, look. You know my favorite saying, right? It comes down to the little things.
Yep.
And we're still alive. We are still alive. And this right here is the easiest game remaining on the schedule.
Still alive, but we're barely breathing.
Buddy. That was good. We'll start a band. Here's the thing. Houston is done as a team. This is it. I'm leaving. We're leaving on this. We're wrapping it up. I'm about to put the music in here. Houston is done as a team. Okay, so for them, it's all about individual performances. Okay, we're still alive, and this right here is the easiest game on the schedule. We play Houston, then we play New Orleans, then we play Birmingham.
God,
you right?
God,
right? If we lose this game, it's all over, and now we're just sitting ducks for New Orleans and Birmingham. We are the tune-up games before the playoffs for those teams, because if we lose, we are done. Tampa Bay, we do not score a lot, but Houston, oh, buddy, they give up points. And Tampa Bay's defense technically gives up points, but not against this offense.
Oh,
Houston's offense is just average at scoring, okay?
Oh.
Buddy, I'm so sorry if you're a Houston Gamblers fan, because all season, man, what if we did a Gamblers podcast? We would be just ripping our hair out because of losing, and oh my God, okay? Well, guess what, buddy? Zach, I told you, it comes down to the little things.
Oh, let me hear it.
And that little thing sometimes is a 1-point victory.
Oh.
And that's why, Houston, you're gambling, baby, but it's mother and snake eyes, because the Tampa Bay Bandits are about to ruin your day again with a 24-23 dub. Dub.
God,
we are putting this on the building. This is still alive. We are not dead yet. Christian Sam is coming. Buddy, Greg Reeves is coming. Jordan Ta'amu, you just have to play maybe one good quarter, and hopefully that's the fourth quarter, and we will pull this bad boy out. But it's more about what we do than what they can do to us. So, Bandits winning. Zach Blaine, what do you say, you, man? I'm done. This is it. I'm dropping the mic on that. I'm not saying a single word after that. Let's go. Bandits, let's ride, baby. Let's get this dub and keep the season alive.
Hey, you just pumped me the hell up. I got a whole second win now, and I'm not going to say anything else. I still think we're going to lose, but I'm still pumped up. But I am going to say to all you fans out there listening, we appreciate you guys. I cannot say that enough. As pumped as he just made me, that's how pumped you guys make me every time we get on here and record. I promise y'all, you guys are the real MVPs, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's ride, baby.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.